Aliens sent a distress call. They didn't expect Deathworlders to answer. The emergency beacon cut through the silence of deep space like a scream in the dark. It pulsed once every 30 seconds, carrying a desperate message across the void. The Velithari science vessel Harmonious Dawn was dying, and everyone aboard knew it. Inside the crippled ship, science leader Penlith watched the life support systems fail one by one. The displays showed numbers that made her skin shift to pale colors of fear. They had maybe 6 cycles left before the air became unbreathable. 6 cycles before 47 souls ran out of time. She had sent the distress call 3 cycles ago. The Galactic Council had responded quickly with sympathy and regret. The nearest rescue ship was 14 cycles away. Simple mathematics told the rest of the story. They would die before help arrived. Penlith looked around at her crew. Some were trying to repair the engines, though they all knew it was hopeless. Others sat quietly with their families, their skin colors muted and sad. The young ones asked questions their parents could not answer. How much longer? Will someone come? Are we going to die out here? The Velithari were not a species built for crisis. Their homeworld was gentle and kind, with soft breezes and warm rains. The temperature never dropped below comfortable levels. The gravity was light enough that even the elderly could move with ease. There were no predators, no natural disasters, no reasons to develop the hard edges that crisis demanded. Penlith had studied other worlds in her career as a scientist. She knew that the Velithari were fortunate in many ways. But now that fortune had run out, and they had no tools to save themselves. The communications panel chimed. Penlith moved to it slowly, expecting another message of regret from the council. Instead, what she heard made her freeze in confusion. Harmonious Dawn. This is the Earth vessel Odyssey. We have received your distress signal and are moving to intercept. Our estimated arrival time is 4 cycles. Please confirm your status and prepare for rescue operations. Earth. Penlith knew that name. Every member of the council knew that name now. It was one of only 4 worlds in the entire galaxy with a Class 12 designation. A death world. A planet so hostile that the council scientists who studied it could barely believe sentient life had evolved there. She had read the reports with horror and fascination. Earth had massive predators that hunted in coordinated packs. It had weather systems that could level cities in minutes. The atmospheric pressure was double what most species could survive. The gravity was crushing. The temperature swings were extreme enough to kill most known life forms. And somehow, impossibly, a species called humans had not just survived, but dominated that nightmare world. And now they were coming here. Should we respond? Asked her communications officer, his colors showing uncertainty. Penlith made a decision. They were going to die without help. Whatever these humans were, they were offering rescue. Tell them we accept their assistance. Send them our ship specifications and crew status. Far across the system, Captain Jake Morrison read the incoming data with growing concern. The Velithari ship was in bad shape. The engine core had suffered a cascade failure, taking most of the power systems with it. Life support was running on emergency reserves that would not last much longer. Can we make it in time? He asked his first officer. Lieutenant Commander Lisa Rodriguez checked her calculations again. If we push the engines hard, yes. But it will be close, sir. Jake nodded. Then push them. I did not come all the way out here to let people die because we were too slow. Sir, have you reviewed the Velithari physiology data? Asked Lieutenant Ben Cooper from the science station. These beings are extremely fragile by our standards. Their bone structure is hollow like earthbirds. Their skin is thin and sensitive. The gravity on their homeworld is 0.4 of Earth normal. What are you saying, Cooper? I am saying that we could accidentally hurt them just by trying to help them. If we grab one too hard during an emergency, we could break bones. If we move too fast in their presence, we could cause panic. These are not beings built for rough handling. Lisa looked at the data herself and let out a low whistle. They are like living porcelain dolls. Beautiful and delicate, and very easy to break. Jake understood the concern, but it did not change the situation. Then, we will be careful. We have trained for first contact scenarios. We can adapt. What else do we know about them? Their optimal temperature range is 70 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit, Cooper read from the file. Current ship temperature is reading 102 degrees because their cooling systems are offline. That is cooking them alive. Their atmospheric requirements are lower oxygen content than Earth standard, higher nitrogen, and trace amounts of compounds that would be toxic to us. The pressure is about half sea level on Earth, so their ship is hot, and the air is thin and poisonous to humans, Jake summarized. Anything else? They are herbivores, completely peaceful. No history of warfare or violence in their entire recorded civilization. The concept of physical conflict is basically alien to them. Jake absorbed that information. Humans had spent their entire history fighting. Fighting nature. Fighting predators. Fighting each other. It had made them strong but also scarred. What would it be like to come from a world where fighting was not necessary? Where peace was not just an ideal, but a reality? That means they are going to be terrified of us, Lisa said quietly. We come from a world that would kill them in minutes. We are predators. We are built for violence, even if we choose not to use it. To them, we must seem like monsters. Then we will have to prove we are not monsters, Jake replied. We will show them that humans can be gentle when gentleness is needed. Cooper, send a message to all crew. I want everyone briefed on Velethari physiology and cultural norms. Nobody does anything that could frighten or harm our guests. This is a rescue operation and a first contact situation. We do this right. The Odyssey pushed through space at maximum speed, covering the distance in record time. On the bridge, the crew watched the dying alien ship grow larger on their screens. It was beautiful in a way that human ships were not, where Earth vessels were built, tough and practical. The harmonious dawn was elegant and artistic. Transparent sections showed gardens inside, though the plants were wilting in the heat. The hull was decorated with flowing patterns that seemed to have no purpose except beauty. It looks like a piece of art, Lisa said with appreciation. Not a ship built for deep space. Quote, Wah. Quote, because their space is not like ours, Jake realized. The Council controls most of the settled galaxy. There are stations and outposts, and patrol ships everywhere. They do not need vessels built to survive alone in the dark. They built this ship assuming help would always be available. And this time it was not, Ben added. Until we showed up, Jake opened a communication channel. Harmonious Dawn. This is Captain Morrison of the Odyssey. We are within visual range and preparing to dock. Can you hear me? The screen flickered to show the interior of the alien ship. Jake had seen pictures of the Velethari in the briefing files, but seeing one in person was different. The being on the screen was small, maybe 4 feet tall, with skin that shifted through gentle colors. Large eyes dominated a face that seemed designed for expressing emotion. Every feature looked delicate, as if carved from glass by an artist who valued beauty over durability. Captain Morrison, the Velethari said in a musical voice that the translator rendered into English. I am Science Leader Penleth. We are grateful for your response, but I must ask, are you truly from Earth? From a Class 12 world? Yes, ma'am. Born and raised in California. Is that a problem? Penleth's colors shifted to patterns Jake could not interpret. Captain, your world is classified as one of the most hostile environments in the known galaxy. The gravity alone would crush most of my crew. The atmospheric pressure would collapse our lungs. The temperature swings would kill us in hours. How can beings from such a place help us? How can you even survive? Jake smiled, trying to look reassuring. That is exactly why we can help you. We will explain everything. But right now, we need to get your people to safety. Your life support is failing. We have maybe 5 hours before the air quality becomes critical. Let us do our job. But our docking systems are damaged. We cannot create a seal for transfer. Then we will come to you. We will wear environmental suits and evacuate your crew to our ship. We have already prepared medical facilities and adjusted one of our cargo bays to match your atmospheric requirements. Penleth stared at him in confusion. You can do that? You can survive in our environment? Ma'am. We regularly work in the vacuum of space. Your ship's conditions will feel like a warm day compared to that. Now please, trust us. We have come a long way to help you. Let us do it. The airlock hissed open and Lieutenant Commander Danny Kim stepped onto the Velethari ship. His environmental suit registered the temperature at 102 degrees Fahrenheit. The air pressure was low, about half of what he was used to on Earth. His suit compensated automatically, but Danny barely noticed. These conditions were mild compared to some of the training exercises he had done. Behind him, Dr. Helen Park and 5 other crew members followed. They moved slowly and carefully, aware that every action they took was being watched by frightened aliens who had never seen anything like them before. The corridor was beautiful. The walls were covered in growing plants that twisted and climbed in artistic patterns. Soft lights glowed from panels that seemed to be made of living crystal. Everything was scaled smaller than human proportions. Danny had to duck his head to avoid hitting the ceiling. A Velethari appeared at the end of the corridor. The small alien froze when it saw the humans. Its skin flashed through rapid color changes that the briefing had said indicated fear or stress. Danny stopped moving and raised his hands slowly, palms out. We are here to help, he said gently. My name is Danny. We are not going to hurt anyone. The Velethari stared at him for a long moment. Danny realized he must look terrifying to this creature. Even in his suit, he was more than twice the alien's height. His shoulders were broader than the Velethari's entire body. He tried to make himself seem smaller by crouching down slightly. I am Security Officer Yenthas, the alien finally said. Its voice was high and musical, like wind chimes. You are very large. Are all humans this size? I am actually average, Danny replied. Some of my friends are much bigger. But size does not matter right now. What matters is getting your people to safety. How many crew members are injured? Yenthas's colors shifted to a darker pattern. 12 are in critical condition. They are in the medical bay. The rest of us are suffering from the heat and bad air, but we can still move. Okay. Dr. Park, take your team to the medical bay. I will coordinate moving everyone else. Danny turned to look at the small alien. Yenthas, can you show my people where the medical bay is? Yes, follow me please. As the medical team moved off with Yenthas leading the way, Danny contacted the rest of his boarding parties. 3 other teams had entered through different airlocks. They were all reporting the same thing. The Velethari were terrified but trying to be cooperative. The ship was failing fast. They needed to move quickly. Danny found the main crew area and stopped in the doorway. 30 Velethari were gathered there, huddled in small groups. Some were sitting on the floor, their skin colors pale and dull. Others were trying to comfort the young ones. When they saw Danny enter, all movement stopped. Every eye turned to look at the giant alien in the strange suit. Hello, everyone, Danny said, trying to sound calm and friendly. My name is Danny Kim, and I am from the Earth ship Odyssey. We are here to rescue you. I know we look different and may be scary, but I promise you are safe now. We are going to take you to our ship where there is good air and comfortable temperature. One of the young Velethari, barely 3 feet tall, stepped forward. Its colors were brighter than the adults, showing curiosity mixed with fear. Are you really from a death world? Danny had to smile at the directness of the question. I am from Earth. Yes. My home planet is very different from yours. But that does not make me dangerous. It just makes me strong enough to help you. An adult Velethari moved to stand protectively near the young one. We have heard stories about Earth. They say your world has predators that hunt in groups. They say your atmosphere is like poison. They say the gravity is so strong it would crush us. All of that is true, Danny admitted. But Earth also taught us to work together. It taught us to help each other survive. It taught us to be careful and gentle when we need to be. Right now, you need help, and we know how to give it. Another adult spoke up. How can you survive in conditions that would kill us? How can beings from such a harsh world be trusted not to hurt us? Danny thought about how to answer that. He looked around at the frightened faces watching him. These were people who had never known violence or hardship. They had lived their whole lives in safety and peace. The idea of a hostile universe was completely foreign to them. On Earth, we have animals called dogs, Danny said slowly. Thousands of years ago, they were wolves, predators that hunted in packs, just like you heard about. But humans did not fear them forever. We learned to live with them. We became friends. Now dogs protect us and love us, and we love them back. We learned that strength can be used for protection instead of harm. The young Velithari's colors brightened with interest. You made friends with predators? We made friends with each other first, Danny corrected. Humans are stronger than many species. Yes, but we use that strength to help the weak, not hurt them. That is what being civilized means to us. Now please, we are wasting time. This ship is dying, and you need to get somewhere safe. Will you trust us? There was a long moment of silence. Then Penlith entered the room. She must have come from the bridge. Her colors were steady and calm as she addressed her crew. I have been speaking with Captain Morrison, she said in her musical voice. I have reviewed the plans for our evacuation. These humans have gone to great effort to make their ship safe for us. They have prepared medical equipment. They have adjusted atmospheric controls. They have studied our physiology to understand how to help us. This is not the behavior of predators. This is the behavior of rescuers. She turned to look at Danny. My people will cooperate with your evacuation procedures. Please tell us what we need to do. Relief flooded through Danny. Thank you. We are going to carry you to our ship. I know that sounds frightening, but your corridors are too small for our transport equipment. The good news is that you are very light to us. Each of you weighs less than 30 pounds in Earth gravity. We will be gentle, I promise. The evacuation began. Human crew members paired up, with one person carrying a Velithari and another walking alongside to provide support and reassurance. The aliens weighed almost nothing to the humans. It was like carrying a small child. But every human had been briefed extensively about the fragility of the Velithari. They moved with exaggerated care, as if carrying containers of delicate glass. Danny carried an elderly Velithari named Penthos. The old alien was light as air in his arms. Penthos's skin showed colors that the database said indicated resignation mixed with wonder. I never thought I would be carried by a being from a death world, Penthos said quietly. Your strength is incredible. You could crush me without effort. But I will not, Danny replied. Strength is only useful if you control it. On Earth, we learn control from childhood. We learn to be gentle with small creatures and fragile things. We learn that power comes with responsibility. Your world must have taught you many hard lessons. It did. But it also taught us that life is precious. That is why we came when we heard your distress call. Because life is precious, no matter what world it comes from. In the medical bay, Dr. Helen Park was facing a different challenge. The 12 critical patients were in bad shape. Their breathing was labored, and their skin colors were almost gray. The Velithari medical equipment was too small and delicate for human hands to operate. We need to move them now, said Dr. Marcus Cole, one of the medical team. But they are so weak. The transport alone might kill them. Helen studied the readings on the alien medical displays. She had spent the past few days studying Velithari physiology, preparing for exactly this situation. Their respiratory system was failing because of the bad air quality. Their bodies were shutting down from heat stress. They needed oxygen, but not too much. They needed cooling, but not too fast. We will transport them on their own medical beds, Helen decided. We can carry the entire unit. That way they stay connected to their equipment until we get them to our medical bay. Those beds are not designed to be moved. Then, we will be very careful. Marcus, you take the first patient. I will monitor vitals. Everyone else, watch and learn. We do this one at a time. until we know it works. The first transport was terrifying. The Velithari medical bed was light but awkward to carry. Marcus moved with painful slowness, while Helen walked beside him watching the patient's vital signs on a portable monitor. Every few steps, she made him stop so she could check that the patient was stable. It took 10 minutes to move one patient from the Velithari ship to the Odyssey's medical bay. At that rate, it would take almost 2 hours to move all 12 critical cases. But there was no choice. Rushing would kill them just as surely as the failing life support. On the bridge of the Odyssey, Captain Jake Morrison watched the evacuation progress on multiple screens. Each camera showed human crew members moving carefully through the alien ship, carrying their fragile cargo with extreme caution. It looked like a strange dance, with every movement controlled and precise. "All teams are reporting good progress," Lisa Rodriguez said from her station. "No injuries to either humans or Velithari. Medical is receiving the critical cases one at a time. How long until everyone is aboard?" "At current pace, about 90 minutes. Life support on the Harmonious Dawn will hold that long," Jake nodded. 90 minutes of careful, precise work. 90 minutes of proving that humans could be trusted. 90 minutes of showing the galaxy that Deathworlders were not the monsters everyone feared. On screen, he watched Danny Kim helping an elderly Velithari through an airlock. The contrast was striking. The massive human in his suit, moving with ballet-like grace, the tiny alien looking up at him with colors that suggested trust, was beginning to replace fear. "We are going to pull this off," Jake said quietly. "Did you doubt it?" Lisa asked. "Not for a second. But I am glad the Velithari are starting to believe it too." The last person to leave the Harmonious Dawn was science leader Penleth. She stood at the airlock, looking back at her ship. The beautiful vessel that had been her home for 3 years of research and exploration. Now it was dark and dead, its systems failed, and its gardens wilting. "We will tow your ship to the nearest council station," Danny told her gently. "The engineers say it can be repaired." "I know," Penleth replied. "But it will never be the same. This experience has changed everything." "Changed how?" Penleth turned to look up at the tall human. "We thought we understood the galaxy. We thought we knew what to expect from different species. But you surprised us. You came from hell itself. Yet you saved us with hands that could destroy but chose to protect. How do we reconcile that?" Danny smiled behind his helmet. "Maybe you just learned that the universe is more complicated than you thought. Come on. Your crew is waiting for you. They need to see that you are safe." Together, the human and the Velithari crossed into the Odyssey, leaving the dying ship behind. The converted cargo bay of the Odyssey hummed with carefully controlled systems. The temperature was set to 75 degrees. The atmospheric mix matched Velithari requirements exactly. Soft lights mimicked the warm glow of their home world. The human crew had worked for hours to make this space comfortable for their guests. 35 Velithari sat or reclined on cushioned platforms that the crew had assembled. They looked better already. Their skin colors were brighter and more active. Some were even eating small amounts of the plant-based food that Dr. Park had carefully prepared based on their dietary needs. But they were still nervous. Groups of humans walked past the open cargo bay doors regularly. And each time, the Velithari would stop what they were doing to watch. These giants from the Death World were everywhere on the ship. The aliens could not escape the reality that they were surrounded by beings who could kill them with casual ease. Penleth noticed this tension and understood it. Her people were safe but not comfortable. They needed something to help them see the humans as friends rather than potential threats. An idea came to her. She left the cargo bay and made her way through the corridors of the Odyssey. The ship was built on a scale that made her feel like a child in an adult's world. Everything was too large, too tall, too heavy. Door controls were positioned for beings twice her height. Chairs were massive. Even the air felt thick with the pressure that humans found normal. She found Captain Morrison on the bridge. He was studying data displays with his first officer. When he saw Penleth enter, he immediately crouched down to bring himself closer to her eye level. It was a small gesture, but Penleth appreciated it. He was trying to be less intimidating, Science leader, is everything okay? Do you need something adjusted in the cargo bay? The accommodations are excellent, Captain. But I have a request. My people are still frightened. They are grateful for the rescue, but they do not understand humans yet. Would it be possible for some of your crew to visit us, to talk with us? I think conversation would help more than anything else. Jake considered this. Are you sure? I do not want my crew to make anyone more uncomfortable. I think it will help, Penleth insisted. Fear comes from the unknown. Let us get to know each other. Let my people see that humans are individuals with personalities and kindness. All right. I will ask for volunteers, but if anyone becomes upset or frightened, we stop immediately. 2 hours later, Lieutenant Amy Foster sat cross-legged on the floor of the cargo bay. She had removed her uniform jacket and wore just a simple shirt and pants. Around her sat 6 young Velithari, their eyes wide with curiosity. Their skin colors cycled through patterns that suggested fascination. So you really have oceans on your world? One of the young ones asked. Water so deep that the pressure at the bottom would crush most ships? We do, Amy confirmed. The deepest part of our ocean is almost 7 miles down. The pressure there is over 1,000 times the air pressure at sea level, and things live down there in the dark and the crushing pressure. What kind of things? Another young Velithari asked nervously. Fish, mostly. Strange ones with lights on their bodies. Some of them look like monsters from nightmares. But they are just adapted to their environment, like everything else on Earth. An adult Velithari named Seelith joined the group. Her colors showed skepticism. Your entire planet sounds impossible. How did your species survive long enough to develop intelligence? Amy thought about how to explain it. We survived by being smart and adaptable. Humans are not the strongest animals on Earth. We are not the fastest. We do not have natural weapons like claws or fangs, but we have good brains, and we learned to work together. We made tools. We built shelters. We learned to use fire to keep warm and cook food. Every challenge made us smarter. But why did you not simply die out like sensible species would? Seelith asked, and there was actual curiosity in her voice now, not hostility. Because humans are stubborn, Amy said with a laugh. When the environment tries to kill us, we take it personally. We refuse to give up. My ancestors lived through ice ages that covered half the planet in glaciers. They survived droughts that lasted decades. They crossed oceans in wooden boats, just to see what was on the other side. That stubbornness is part of who we are. One of the young Velithari moved a little closer to Amy. Are you stubborn? Very, Amy admitted. When I was training to be a pilot, I crashed a simulator 15 times before I got it right. Everyone told me to give up. But I kept trying because I wanted to fly in space more than anything. And here I am, flying between the stars. That is dedication. Seelith said softly. Or madness. I am not sure which. Maybe both, Amy replied with a smile. In the medical bay, Dr. Helen Park was having a different kind of conversation. The 12 critical patients had stabilized, and several were awake and able to talk. One of them, a researcher named Vecton, was asking questions constantly. How do you treat injuries on your world? Vecton asked weakly. Your medical equipment is so different from ours. Helen looked at the alien medical displays she had been studying. The Velithari approach to medicine was gentle and gradual. They used organic compounds and natural healing processes. Everything was designed to work with the body, not against it. Human medicine was much more aggressive. Humans cut into bodies to repair damage. They used powerful chemicals to fight infections. They pushed bodies to their limits and beyond in pursuit of healing. Our medicine is direct, Helen explained carefully. When something is broken, we fix it. When something is infected, we kill the infection. We have had to develop these techniques because Earth injuries are often severe. A fall that would bruise a Velithari might break human bones. An infection that would make you feel sick might kill a human without treatment. That sounds violent, Vecton said. It sounds necessary, Helen corrected. We developed aggressive medicine because we live in an aggressive environment. But that means we have learned to treat trauma that other species might consider hopeless. We can repair damage that would be fatal on gentler worlds. Another patient, an elderly Velathari named Morthus, spoke up from the next bed. Is it true that humans can recover from injuries that would kill most species? Sometimes yes. Human bodies are very resilient. We can lose significant amounts of blood and survive. We can break bones and heal them. We can even survive having organs removed, though we prefer not to. Our bodies are built to take punishment and keep functioning. Why would evolution create such a thing? Morthus asked in wonder. Because on Earth, anything less than resilient dies young, Helen said simply. Natural selection is harsh on my world. Only the strong and lucky survive to have children. Over millions of years, that pressure created humans. Vecton's colors shifted to a pattern that suggested he was thinking deeply. We Velathari are the opposite. Our world is gentle, so we evolved to be gentle. We are efficient and specialized, but fragile. We never needed strength or resilience because our environment never threatened us. Different worlds create different species, Helen agreed. Neither is better or worse, just different. But your differences saved us, Morthus pointed out. A Velathari rescue ship could not have reached us in time. Even if they had, they could not have moved us safely. Your strength and speed and resilience made this rescue possible. Perhaps there is something to be said for being a Deathworlder after all. Elsewhere on the ship, Danny Kim was giving a tour to Yenthas and two other Velathari. They had asked to see more of the Odyssey, and Danny had agreed. Now he was showing them the engineering section, where the massive engines that powered the ship were visible through protective windows. This is incredible, Yentha said, his colors bright with amazement. The power output must be enormous. It has to be, Danny explained. The Odyssey weighs about 50,000 tons. Pushing that mass to faster than light speeds requires a lot of energy. But how do you contain such power? On our ships, we use gentle propulsion systems. Nothing this violent. Danny pointed to the thick shielding around the engine core. Multiple layers of protection. The core itself is surrounded by magnetic fields and physical barriers. Everything is monitored constantly. If anything starts to go wrong, automatic systems shut it down before it becomes dangerous. One of the other Velathari, a young engineer named Peltrix, asked hesitantly, "Have you ever had an engine failure?" "Twice in my career," Danny admitted. "Once was a minor malfunction that we fixed in a few hours. The other was more serious. We lost main power for 3 days while we made repairs." 3 days without power? Peltrix's colors flashed with alarm. "How did you survive?" "Emergency systems, backup generators, careful rationing of resources, and the crew worked together to solve the problem. That is what humans do when things go wrong. We adapt and fix it." Yenthas was quiet for a moment. Then said, "Your species is defined by crisis. Is it not? Everything about you is built around surviving disasters." "I suppose so," Danny agreed. "But that is not a bad thing. It means we are good in emergencies. It means we do not panic when things go wrong. It means we can help others who are not as prepared for disaster. Like us," Yenthas said softly. "Like anyone who needs help. That is what the Odyssey is for. That is why we came when we heard your distress call. Not because we are Deathworlders, because we are people who refuse to let others die when we can help." Back on the bridge, Captain Jake Morrison was receiving a transmission from Commander Zilthon. The council leader looked less hostile than before, but still wary. "Captain Morrison, I have been reviewing the status reports from Science Leader Penleth. Your crew has performed admirably. The Velathari are safe and recovering well." "Thank you, Commander. We are doing our best to make them comfortable. I must admit, I did not expect such care from a Deathworld species. The reports I have received describe your crew showing patience and gentleness that is remarkable for any species, much less one from such a hostile environment." Jake felt a slight irritation at the continued focus on Earth's classification. "Commander. With respect, being from a harsh world does not make us harsh people. It just makes us capable of handling harsh situations. There is a difference. Zilthon's crest moved in what might have been acknowledgement. Perhaps you are correct. The Council has been discussing your species. There is much debate about what humanity's role should be in the galaxy. Some fear you. Others are beginning to see potential for cooperation. What do you think, Commander? There was a long pause. I think that I am reconsidering my assumptions. I think that perhaps the galaxy has been too quick to judge species by their world classification, rather than their actions. Your actions have been honorable, Captain Morrison. That counts for much. I appreciate that. What happens now? Now you complete your mission. Escort the Velithari to the nearest council station. We will have medical personnel and counselors ready to receive them. And then, Captain, I believe the Council will want to speak with you about the future of human-council relations. After the transmission ended, Lisa Rodriguez looked at Jake with a slight smile. I think we just made a good impression. Let us hope so, Jake replied. Because if this goes well, it could change everything for humanity. We could go from being feared outsiders to valued members of the galactic community. All because we answered a distress call. All because we did the right thing, Jake corrected. That is all it ever takes. The Galactic Council station grew larger on the view screen as the Odyssey approached. It was a massive sphere that dwarfed any structure humans had ever built. Thousands of ships moved around it like insects around a hive, each one different in design and purpose. Jake had never seen so many alien vessels in one place. Reading over 300 ships in the immediate area, Ben Cooper reported from his station. I am detecting at least 50 different species signatures. Some of these designs are really strange, sir. Lisa pointed to one vessel that looked like a living plant floating in space. That one appears to be grown rather than built. The hull is organic. The galaxy is a diverse place, Jake said quietly. We are about to meet a lot of that diversity face to face. A communication came through from station control. The voice was translated into English, but Jake could hear the uncertainty in it. Earth Vessel Odyssey. You are cleared to dock at Bay 47. Please follow the guidance markers. You will be met by council representatives upon arrival. Acknowledged. Station control. Following markers now. The docking bay was located in what appeared to be a quarantine section of the station. Jake noticed that it was far from the main traffic areas. They were being kept separate from the general population. Not unexpected, but still a bit insulting. The docking procedure was smooth. The Odyssey settled into its assigned bay, and the station's systems connected to the ship's power and life support. Through the windows, Jake could see figures gathering in the bay beyond. Most of them were keeping their distance from the human ship. They are scared of us, Lisa observed. Look at how they are staying back from the airlocks. Can you blame them? Ben asked. We are the monsters from their nightmares. The species that should not exist but somehow does. Jake stood and straightened his uniform. Then we show them they have nothing to fear. Rodriguez, Cooper, Park, you are with me, Foster. You have the bridge. Keep the Velithari comfortable until we know what the plan is for them. Aye, Captain. The 5 humans walked through the ship to the main airlock where the Velithari were waiting. Penleth and several other members of her crew had asked to accompany the humans when they met with the council. Jake had agreed, thinking their presence might help ease tensions. Penleth's colors were bright with a mix of emotions Jake was learning to read: excitement, nervousness, and determination. Captain Morrison, my people wish to speak on your behalf when we meet the council. We want them to know what you did for us. That is very kind of you, Penleth, but you do not owe us anything. We did what anyone should do. That is exactly the point I want to make, Penleth replied. You did what many would not have done. That deserves recognition. The airlock opened, and the group stepped out onto the station. The first thing Jake noticed was the gravity. It was lighter than Earth normal, maybe 60%. He felt almost bouncy as he walked. The second thing he noticed was the crowd of aliens that had gathered, all of them staring at the humans with expressions that ranged from fear to fascination. Commander Zilthon stood at the front of the welcoming party. His crest was held in a neutral position, but his eyes tracked every movement the humans made. Beside him were several other aliens of different species. One looked like it was made of floating crystals. Another resembled a large insect with delicate wings. A third was covered in soft fur and had 6 legs. "Captain Morrison," Zilthon said formally. "Welcome to Council Station Harmony. On behalf of the Galactic Council, I acknowledge your successful rescue of the Velithari crew. Your actions have been noted and appreciated." "Thank you, Commander. We are honored to be here." Penlith moved forward, her small form dwarfed by the humans around her. "Commander Zilthon, I must speak. The Council needs to hear what happened. What these humans did for us." Zilthon's crest rippled slightly. "Science Leader Penlith, there will be time for formal statements. First, we must ensure the medical needs of your crew are met." "Our medical needs were met by the humans," Penlith insisted, her colors flashing with unusual intensity. "They saved us when no one else could. They treated us with care and gentleness, despite their strength. They turned part of their ship into a home for us. They studied our physiology and culture to avoid causing us distress. These are not the actions of dangerous Deathworlders. These are the actions of compassionate beings." The crystal alien chimed with sounds the translator rendered as words. "Compassion is not in question, Science Leader. But capacity for harm is a separate issue. Humans come from a world that would kill most of us in minutes. Their physical capabilities are extreme. The potential for accidental or intentional harm is significant." Dr. Helen Park stepped forward. Jake noticed she moved slowly and kept her hands visible, trying to appear non-threatening. "I am Dr. Park, Chief Medical Officer of the Odyssey. With respect, your concern about our capacity for harm ignores our capacity for control. Every human child learns from infancy to moderate their strength. We learn to hold fragile things without breaking them. We learn to move in crowded spaces without hurting others. We learn that power without control is useless. But your instincts are still those of a predator species." The insect-like alien clicked. "You evolved to hunt and kill. How can we trust that instinct will not override your training?" Danny Kim spoke up, his voice calm but firm. "Our instincts also include protecting the weak, caring for the injured, and working together for survival. Yes, humans can be dangerous, but we choose not to be. We choose to use our strengths to help others. Is that not what civilization is about? Making the choice to be better than our basic nature?" The furry 6-legged alien made a sound like wind through grass. "The human makes a valid point. We all evolved from something. None of us are purely what our ancestors were. The question is not where they came from, but who they choose to be." Zilthon raised a hand, and the debate stopped. "This conversation is important, but it belongs in a formal setting. Captain Morrison, the Council has requested a meeting with you and your senior officers. It will take place in 2 hours. Until then, you are guests of the station. You may explore the public areas if you wish. Though I must warn you that many of the station's inhabitants have never seen a Deathworld species before. Your presence may cause distress." "We understand," Jake replied. "We will do our best to avoid causing problems." As the official welcoming party dispersed, the humans and Velithari were left standing in the docking bay. Around them, aliens watched from a careful distance. Some appeared curious. Others looked frightened. A few seemed hostile. "This is going to be interesting," Lisa muttered. "Let us take a walk," Jake decided. "See the station. Let people see us. Show them we are not monsters." The group moved through the station slowly. The corridors were wide and tall, designed to accommodate species of many different sizes. The humans were among the larger beings present, but not the largest. Jake spotted several aliens that were 8 or 9 feet tall. The architecture was beautiful but strange to human eyes. Curves dominated over straight lines. Colors shifted on walls and ceilings. Some sections appeared to be grown rather than built. It was like walking through a living work of art. Everywhere they went, Aliens stopped to stare. Most kept their distance, but a few braver individuals approached to get a closer look. One small alien, no bigger than a house cat, scurried up to Danny and chirped something the translator could not render. "I think it is asking if you are real," Ben guessed based on the alien's body language. Danny crouched down slowly, bringing himself closer to the small alien's level. "I am very real. My name is Danny. What is yours?" The small alien chittered rapidly, its translator catching up a moment later. "I am called Skitters." "You are from Earth? The planet with the giant predators?" "That is right. But the predators mostly leave us alone now. We have cities and technology, just like everyone else. But you could survive on my world," Skitters said with what sounded like awe. "My world is classified as Class 8. Very harsh. But your world is Class 12. You could walk on my planet without protection." "Probably," Danny agreed. "Does your world need help with something?" Skitters' posture shifted to something that might have been embarrassment. "No, I just think it would be amazing to have allies who could survive anywhere. My people struggle in harsh environments. We dream of exploring difficult worlds, but we cannot. You could do it easily. Maybe we could work together," Danny suggested. "You have knowledge and technology we do not have. We have physical capabilities you do not have. Together, we could explore places neither of us could manage alone." The small alien's entire body vibrated with excitement. "That would be wonderful. I must tell my people about this idea." As Skitters scurried away, Helen smiled. "I think you just made our first alien friend." "One down. A few trillion to go," Danny replied with a grin. They continued their walk, and eventually found themselves in what appeared to be a public garden. It was a huge space filled with plants from dozens of worlds. The variety was staggering: trees with silver leaves, flowers that glowed with their own light, vines that moved slowly, as if breathing. A group of aliens was gathered around a fountain in the center of the garden. When they saw the humans approaching, most of them scattered. But one remained. A tall being with blue skin and graceful movements. "You are the humans who rescued the Velathari," the blue alien said. It was a statement, not a question. "We are," Jake confirmed. "I am called Nethys. I am a trader who works throughout Council space. I have heard many stories about Deathworlders. Most of them are frightening. But what you did for the Velathari does not match those stories." "Maybe the stories are wrong," Lisa suggested. "Maybe," Nethys agreed. "Or maybe humans are different from other Deathworld species. There have been 3 others discovered over the centuries. All of them were aggressive and territorial. They had to be contained, or they would have threatened peaceful species. But you answered a distress call to help strangers. That is unusual behavior." "It is normal behavior for humans," Jake said firmly. "We help people in trouble. That is what we do." Nethys studied them for a long moment. "If that is true, then perhaps humanity has something valuable to offer the galaxy. We have many species who are intelligent and peaceful. But we lack species who are strong and kind. That combination is rare. We would like the chance to prove ourselves," Jake said. "To show the galaxy that Deathworlders can be trusted allies. Then you will need to be patient," Nethys warned. "The Council moves slowly. They will debate and discuss and analyze every aspect of your species before making any decisions. It could take years." "We have time," Jake replied. "We are not going anywhere." A chime sounded throughout the station, and Zilthon's voice came over the communication system. "Captain Morrison, please report to Council chambers." "The meeting is beginning," Jake looked at his team. "This is it. Whatever happens in the next few hours could determine humanity's future in the galaxy. Let us make sure we get it right." The council chambers were impressive, in a way that made Jake feel small. The room was circular and enormous, with seating arranged in rising tiers that surrounded a central platform. Representatives from what looked like 100 different species filled the seats, each one watching as the humans entered. Jake, Lisa, Danny, Helen, and Ben walked to the center platform. Their footsteps echoed in the quiet space. Every eye in the room followed them. Jake could feel the weight of their stares, the mixture of fear and curiosity that radiated from the assembled aliens. Commander Zilthon stood at a podium elevated above the others. His crest was fully extended in what the briefing files said was a formal posture. This emergency session of the Galactic Council is called to order. We are here to discuss the matter of humanity and their recent actions in Council space. The crystal, being that Jake had met earlier, chimed to get attention. Commander Zilthon, I propose we begin with a full review of the incident. We need to understand exactly what occurred before we make any judgments. Agreed, Zilthon said. He gestured to a large display that appeared in the air above the platform. 3 cycles ago, the Velathari research vessel Harmonious Dawn suffered catastrophic engine failure in Sector 47. They transmitted a distress call that was received by Council Emergency Services and by the human vessel Odyssey. The Council vessel nearest to their position was 14 cycles away. The humans were 4 cycles away. The display showed a map of the sector with the positions of all vessels marked. It was clear that the human ship had been much closer. The humans responded without requesting authorization, Zilthon continued. They reached the Velathari vessel, evacuated all 47 crew members, provided medical treatment to 12 critical cases, and transported the Velathari to this station. All Velathari survived without serious injury. Penleth stood from her seat in the gallery. Her small form was barely visible among the larger species. Commander, I request permission to speak. Permission granted, Science Leader Penleth. Penleth moved to stand beside the humans on the central platform. She had to look up at Jake, but her colors showed determination and confidence. Honored Council members, I speak as the senior surviving officer of the Harmonious Dawn. I want you to understand what these humans did for us. She turned to address the entire chamber. When our engines failed, we thought we were going to die. The Council told us no help could reach us in time. We made our peace with death. We said goodbye to each other. We prepared for the end. Her colors shifted to softer patterns. Then these humans appeared. These beings from a world so hostile we cannot imagine it. These predators from a death planet. And they saved us. Not just rescued us, but cared for us. They studied our needs. They modified their ship to accommodate us. They carried us with hands that could crush us but never did. They treated us with more gentleness than I thought possible from such strong beings. An alien that looked like a mass of tentacles spoke up. Science Leader, were you not afraid? Did their presence not cause distress? Of course we were afraid, Penleth admitted. At first. But fear based on ignorance faded when we got to know them. I learned that humans have something we do not often see in the galaxy. They have the strength to harm but the discipline to protect. They have the power to take but the generosity to give. They have every reason to be violent but they choose to be kind. The furry 6-legged alien from earlier spoke. The Science Leader's testimony is compelling, but we must consider the broader implications. Humanity is still an unknown quantity. One good deed does not erase the potential dangers. Jake decided it was time to speak. Honored Council members, may I address the chamber? Zilthon gestured his approval. Captain Morrison, you may speak. Jake took a breath and looked around at the assembled aliens. I understand your concerns. You look at Earth and see a nightmare world. You look at humans and see predators. You worry about what we might do. Those concerns are not unreasonable. He paused, choosing his words carefully. But I ask you to consider this. Yes, Earth is harsh. Yes, humans are strong. But those things made us what we are. Our world taught us to survive against impossible odds. It taught us to work together because alone we would die. It taught us that life is precious, because it can be taken away so easily. Lisa stepped forward to stand beside Jake. Every challenge Earth threw at us made us more capable. We learned medicine because we needed to heal injuries. We learned engineering because we needed to build shelter from storms. We learned cooperation because we needed each other to survive. Our harsh world created a species that is very good at solving problems and helping others survive. But you are also good at violence. The crystal being pointed out. Your history is filled with wars and conflicts. That is true, Danny admitted. Humans have fought each other throughout our history. We are not proud of that. But we learned from it. We learned that war is wasteful and destructive. We learned that cooperation is better than conflict. We made a choice as a species to reach for the stars instead of fighting over our one planet. Helen added her voice. And our capacity for violence has a flip side. It means we understand danger. We understand trauma. We know how to respond to emergencies. Because we have lived through them. That knowledge saved the Velithari. It could save others. Ben spoke last. You call us Deathworlders like it is a curse. But maybe it is a gift. Not for us, but for the galaxy. You have built a civilization based on peace and cooperation. That is wonderful. But what happens when that civilization faces a crisis you are not equipped to handle? Who helps you then? The chamber was silent for a long moment. Then an alien Jake had not seen before stood. It was small and covered in scales that shimmered with different colors. The human raises an interesting point. The Council has faced many challenges over the centuries. Natural disasters, equipment failures, medical emergencies. We respond as best we can. But we are limited by our own biology. Species from gentle worlds are not equipped for extreme situations. Another alien, this one tall and thin with 4 arms, spoke up. I have reviewed the medical reports from the Velithari rescue. The procedures the human doctors used would be impossible for most Council species. The speed of response, the physical stamina required, the ability to work in varied environmental conditions. These are capabilities we do not possess. Are you suggesting we recruit Deathworlders into Council services? The crystal being asked with what sounded like alarm. I am suggesting we consider it, the 4-armed alien replied. The humans have demonstrated skill, restraint, and compassion. They have capabilities we lack. Why would we not explore a partnership? Debate erupted throughout the chamber. Some council members were clearly opposed to the idea. Others seemed intrigued. Arguments flew back and forth in a dozen different languages, the translators working overtime to keep up. Zilthon raised his hands and the chamber slowly quieted. This debate could continue for days. I propose we take a more measured approach. Captain Morrison. Would humanity be willing to participate in a trial cooperation program? Jake felt hope rise in his chest. What kind of program? A joint emergency response station, Zilthon explained. Staffed by both humans and Council species. You would train together, work together, and respond to emergencies together. It would give us a chance to learn from each other and prove whether this partnership can work. Where would this station be located? Lisa asked. Sector 47, Zilthon said. The same region where you rescued the Velithari. It is a remote area with irregular traffic and occasional emergencies. A perfect testing ground. Jake looked at his team. He saw excitement on their faces. This was more than they had hoped for. A chance to prove humanity's worth. A chance to build real relationships with alien species. A chance to show the galaxy that Deathworlders could be trusted. We accept, Jake said firmly. Humanity would be honored to participate in this program. Penlith's colors flashed with bright patterns. The Velithari Science Council would like to participate as well. We could provide research, support, and cultural liaison services. We have experience working with humans now. Other voices rose from the chamber. The small-scaled alien offered engineering expertise. The 4-armed species volunteered medical personnel. Even some of the skeptical members agreed to send observers. The idea was growing, taking on life. Over the next hour, the details were worked out. The station would be built over the next 6 months. It would house 50 personnel from various species, including 20 humans. It would have state-of-the-art equipment and ships capable of responding to emergencies throughout the sector. It would be a symbol of cooperation between species that should have nothing in common but had found a way to work together. As the meeting ended and the council members filed out, Many of them approached the humans. Some offered congratulations. Others asked questions about Earth and human culture. A few still seemed wary, but even they were curious. Skitters, the small alien Danny had met earlier, bounced over excitedly. "This is wonderful! My people want to help with the station. We are good with communication systems. We would love to have you," Danny said warmly. Nethys, the blue-skinned trader, approached Jake. "You have done something remarkable, Captain. You have changed minds that I thought could not be changed. The Council feared Deathworlders for generations. Now they are building a station with you. We just did what was right," Jake said. The rest followed. "Naturally. Perhaps," Nethys replied. "Or perhaps you showed us something we needed to see. That strength and kindness can exist in the same being. That the harshest environments can produce the most compassionate people. That we should judge others by their actions, not our fears." Later that evening, the crew of the Odyssey gathered in the ship's mess hall. They were exhausted but happy. The day had gone better than anyone expected. "I cannot believe we are actually doing this," Amy said, grinning widely. "Building a station with aliens, working side by side with species from across the galaxy. It is going to be challenging," Helen pointed out. "We will need to learn their languages, their customs, their medical needs. Every species will require different accommodations, but we can do it," Ben said confidently. "If we can survive on Earth, we can handle anything the galaxy throws at us." Jake raised his cup. A toast. "To the Odyssey and her crew. To the Velithari who gave us a chance to prove ourselves. To the Council members who were willing to look past their fears. And to the future we are going to build together." "To the future," the crew echoed. 3 months later, construction on the joint station began. The structure took shape in the void of space, a combination of human engineering and alien design. Ships from a dozen species brought materials and personnel. Humans worked alongside Velithari, Zilthon's species, the small-scaled beings, and many others. There were challenges. Cultural misunderstandings. Equipment incompatibilities. Accidents caused by species not understanding each other's capabilities. But they worked through each problem together. Science leader Penlith wrote regular reports on the progress. Her accounts were distributed throughout Council space, read by billions of beings. She wrote about the human engineer who spent 3 days straight solving a power problem that was killing the environmental systems. She wrote about the Velithari botanist and the human doctor who developed a new treatment for radiation exposure. She wrote about the friendships forming between species that had nothing in common except a desire to help others. One report in particular spread throughout the galaxy. Penlith wrote about a rescue mission where the joint station team saved a cargo ship with a mixed crew of 5 different species. The humans had provided the physical capabilities to stabilize the ship. The Velithari had designed the rescue plan. Other species contributed their own unique skills. Together, they had done what no single species could have managed alone. Penlith ended that report with words that would be quoted for generations. "We called into the void expecting silence. We received instead an answer we needed but did not know to hope for. The humans came not with weapons or conquest, but with helping hands and open hearts. Perhaps Earth made them strong, but something else made them kind. That combination may be the rarest resource in all the galaxy." Captain Jake Morrison kept a copy of those words in his quarters. On difficult days, when the challenges seemed too great, he would read them and remember why they were doing this. Not for glory or recognition, not to prove humanity was better than anyone else, but simply because it was right. Because when someone called for help, you answered. That was what humans did. That was who they were. And the galaxy was learning to be grateful for it.